when it all hit the fan, the whole flow fell out in the real estate market. I used to meet with the same 3 guys every quarter. We go over the numbers, where we at, we're doing good, let's stay on track. To all of a sudden, after that market crash, we had that quarterly meeting. It was 4 new faces in there. I've never seen them before, but they didn't want
They switched out the people.
What? They switched it. That was done. Real estate investing and that we was done. They was in there to basically tell me, hey, we calling these loans. We can't, there's no restructure. We on my whole team on the sideline, how do we restructure this to make it make sense?
Correct.
They didn't want to hear none of that. All they wanted to say was, man, we can't support it. We out. We need to call these loans. And I'm like, call the loans? Like, who's finna, the interest we paying a loan is crazy. So you telling me now you ready to cash out? I don't have it. So at that point in time, I'm looking at my financial advisor, my business partner, like, boy, we need to start snatching money from everywhere we can. And at that point in time, they already was ahead of me. So they was freezing accounts. They was already ahead of schedule. They already knew they were trying to, it was a grab.
They were trying to protect, they were trying to get,
Because they know if they allow me to have the time to either try
move
to
move the money
or move the deal somewhere else, they know that they didn't want to be part of no more. Even though I still had my retirement, that was the money I was using to create the wealth I needed. Mm-hmm. So it set me back, but one thing about it, I'm one of them guys I feel like, man, pressure creates new opportunity.
Yeah. All right, what's up, Bootstrappers? We're back for another episode of Bootstrapped Millionaire, and man, I'm really excited because I got my good friend, and let me tell you, I had to run this brother down to get him in the studio. But ladies and gentlemen, we have my good friend, Mr. Rod Gardner in the building. What's happening, brother?
My God, T. Mercer, we in the building. We made it happen. I finally got here, man.
We made it happen.
Thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure being on Bootstraps, man. I'm ready to get it started. Let's go.
Well, listen, man, it's a pleasure. And we're going to just jump right into it, man, because I think it's going to be a great conversation for a lot of people. But for the bootstrappers, and there's probably very few of them that don't know who you are.
Gotcha.
But for the bootstrappers who don't know you are, tell us a little bit about who Rod Gardner is.
Rod Gardner, ex-NFL player, went to school, graduated Clemson Hall of Famer, drafted first round to the Redskins back in 2001. So known for the NFL, spent many years in the NFL. After that, that's when my whole entrepreneur, trying to figure out life, what's next, came into play. So I've been in Atlanta probably the last 20 years, but I've always had that entrepreneur mindset. Even when I played, I was one to always understand. When I looked at these checks and how big these checks was, that somebody was writing me. Somebody was paying me this. I always was wondering, man, how do I become him? Because if you can write a check like this, I want to know what you make. So that was always my mindset, even in the NFL. How do you become an owner? Not a player, I want to be the owner. So even after that, I always was in this entrepreneur mindset. How do I build wealth? How do I make this money? So I've been on that journey since I left the league in 2008.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's take a step back a little bit, right? As your journey going into the NFL, right?
Yes.
You're originally, I believe, from Jacksonville, Florida?
Straight out of Jacksonville, Florida. Mama's boy, raised single family home. Honestly, a lot of people didn't know I played quarterback my whole life. So I didn't transition to a receiver till like my second year of college. But yeah, I grew up in Jacksonville, single family mom. Always seen and wanted more, and I just know coming from the hood, that was my only way out.
Football.
Mom's working hard. She did decent. We weren't struggling too bad. But at the end of the day, for me to know it wasn't going to be something she can offer me, that she can provide for me, college, anything. So I had to make it on my own. So that's when my mindset shifted to where it's like, man, if sports and school going to be the way, then let's focus in. So while everybody else was out there hanging and banging, I was zoned in.
How did you get recruited to Clemson? I mean, Clemson pretty big school.
Clemson is a big school. You got to think about it. I was ranked one of the top quarterbacks in the nation coming out. So honestly, I committed to Notre Dame coming out. So Lou Holtz was at Notre Dame. And I think the only thing that deterred me was coming from Florida, used to that sunshine heat. I never really experienced the cold. I never really got outside of Jacksonville. So I never experienced the cold until I got to Notre Dame and took a visit there. And when I stepped off that plane and it was like 3-4 inches of snow, and boy, I was like, boy, this might not be for me. But Lou still had me. I almost went to Notre Dame, but then once I went to Clemson, my receiver coach, named Coach Stockstill, great brother, he leaned into me hard. He had a plan for me. He believed in me. So I was like, and then when I got to Clemson, there was already 7 other guys from Jacksonville there.
Yeah.
So Brian Dawkins, he just left Clemson, and he's from my high school. So B. Dawk, Eagles Hall of Famer. So it was like, man, I got to follow in them footsteps. So let me go see what Clemson be like. So I ended up at Clemson, and that's how the whole thing started.
And what was the journey like at Clemson? Because I recall watching a film. I think it was it the national champion? Because you guys played. Did you play in the national?
I did not. I probably started the whole big receiver because I was the first big receiver came out in the first round. So national championship didn't happen probably 7-8 years later. But I started the whole with Tommy Bowden. We started the whole Clemson dynasty started then.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, I didn't experience the reap the benefits of it, but I definitely was one of the ones that spearheaded.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's being a big receiver.
Yes.
Yeah, big receiver.
Because Clemson was known before then, we was a running school. So when Tommy Bowden came from Tulane, they implemented the run and shoot. So we was out there fun and gunning, throwing the ball all over the place. And in 2 years, I went from nobody knowing who I was as a receiver or a player to all of a sudden being top in the country.
Wow.
In 2 years.
What was it like getting drafted? Because when you see these young men today, the draft is like an event now.
Man,
does it feel like to get drafted in the NFL?
Man, let me tell you something. It's like, because you got to think about it, these dreams we've had since we were little kids. I mean, we seen the guys and we see it on TV. We know it's a goal we want or a dream we want to happen. But actually live it is a whole nother ball game. So just the experience. I didn't even go to the draft. I had the opportunity to go to the draft because I was supposed to be the drafted between 5 and 15. So I chose to stay home and do a whole block party. So we invited the whole neighborhood out. The whole hood was there, and the news and everybody. So I'm still nervous, even though I know that I'm finna be drafted early. Still, just the anxiety of it, like not knowing, and the excitement. So you're going from zero to instant millionaire.
Right.
Who gets to experience that? So it was something that I can't really explain, man. It was one that it was like a dream, man. I was numbed out, man. I'm just going with the flow. I'm basically enjoying everybody else enjoying the time more than me.
Yeah.
I was over there stressing because I didn't know where I was going.
But what is it like? Because you hear stories of young men, and that's a good point that you make, how you go from zero, from being, that kid growing up in Florida, to now you're a millionaire at the age of what 20, 21? How is that transition? Because I often wonder, how is that for these young men to just be thrust into that type of wealth?
It's tough because we don't have the information and the support from internally, meaning family. A lot of our family didn't come from money.
Correct.
So they don't even know how to guide us in that path. So we lean on strangers, agents, referring money managers and financial advisors to come in, and everybody's saying everything, all the right stuff you want to hear. So it's really, man, hoping that you can make the best decision to add somebody to your team to help manage you during that time frame, which a lot of guys try but end up making mistakes because we don't take on responsibility of learning as much as we can as fast to manage our own funds. And that might be the downfall of a lot of guys in the NFL. But other than that, man, when you first see that first check, man, and all of a sudden them zeros, me, I had to sit in the car for a minute. I just cried, man. I was like, boy, I ain't never, ever imagined being in this position and having this type of check in front of me.
Right.
But I was so happy to run to that bank and deposit it.
Yeah.
Well, that feeling was amazing. But it's a hard transition, but it's a good transition. Because as much as you focus on the football and want to be great in football, you understand financially you're able to provide for your family. So that was a great experience.
Yeah. Did you get people pulling on you? Like a lot of young men are probably family members, because if you're the first one, I can imagine that a lot of people pulled on you.
100%. And they're not necessarily people pulled on me to where they was asking me to help them, but you just knew that they wanted to come along for the ride.
Right. Yeah.
And what's hard about it is like, some of y'all ain't meant to come on the journey. And then the day, me, I was always a realist. I never cared. I never was the guy who felt like I had this burden on me that I had to take care of the world. No.
Yeah.
It's certain people I know who was there through the whole journey that I wanted to provide for everybody else. Hey, man, y'all, I appreciate you. I'll get you a ticket to the game, but no, you can't come on the journey. But it is tough because you want to provide and help, but it's like you're an instant millionaire, but that money at 22 ain't going to last.
No.
for 60 years. So if you out here spending it without making it, you know what can happen.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's the hard part about it. But you want to take care of moms. I bought moms a house.
Yeah.
You know, I had to call. I did everything I was supposed to do.
Right.
And when I came out, it was the age of Icy. That's when Jeezy
Yeah.
came out with that Icy song. So 100% I was blinged out, ready to go.
Right. So is it true that a lot of NFL, you know, the myth is that a lot of NFL ball players, when they retire, many of them go broke?
100%. I don't think, how do you say it? I think at the end of the day, we create so much debt and we have so many responsibilities that we paying for. So a lot of guys like me, I might was at one time maxing out at 40, 45 racks a month just in bills. Just my house here, house there, car here, mom's house, this payment, handling this, child support. Like when you get to adding it up, it adds up. And I was one who was blessed enough to be in the first round. A lot of guys don't get the opportunity. There's only 30 guys, 31, 32 guys being in the first round. Everybody else is second, third, fourth. This, you know, cups from hundreds of thousands, maybe $1 million over their whole contract. So it don't look the same as a guy who get drafted early. So
there's a huge difference between the first
100%.
round draft picks and that's in terms of
So you gotta
money.
think about it. When I came out, Vic came out with me.
Correct.
I was the 15 pick. Vic was the first pick.
Yeah.
Vic, I think, signed for 60 million or 30 million.
Right,
I only did 15.
Yeah.
And that was a 15 pick difference. But when you go from 15 to 30, you might only sign for $1 million or 800,000. So it ain't as big. It's a big gap as the picks go down.
And then you also, and even those guys still have to pay agents and managers out of that money.
Agent, managers, and taxes. So we ain't even got to the taxes. You know, that's a whole nother thing. So think about even in that aspect, if we was taught how to handle taxes, how to set up companies, corporations, how to invest that money, put it in something else. Don't pay me, pay this, you know, pay this LLC, pay this corporation. Don't put it in my name. We've never even entertained the tax breaks that we needed to incur just so we don't get hit with that 47%.
But isn't that what the agent and your
Agents
managers
don't
are
care.
supposed to be advising you?
Agent only trying to get you the money. Agent's trying to get his 3%. How much money can I get you up front so I can get my 3%? Some agents do, and they refer you to money manager, but it's all politics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm your boy. I'm going to shoot you this if you can get me Rod to come sign with me. So do they want to look out? A lot of them do. But is it a good boy system where everybody trying to look out for everybody?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So they not just going to the best money manager. They going to the one they got a relationship with who's probably giving them a kickback.
Yeah.
That's who they're trying to steer you towards.
So it's really, you have to really take it upon yourself
100%.
to learn the game, the money game yourself.
You have to.
Even as a professional athlete.
100%. And I think what we go wrong at, in my instance, was we don't focus on what's making the money right now. And it's just football. Don't even worry about investing. Don't worry about doing real estate. You don't even have time to watch that. You don't have time to do enough research and do your own due diligence to even jump in that game. Your game need to be that body, make as much money as you can while you're in there, save it. Now when you get out, you have the time to start going on different, avenues and entertaining whatever goals and aspirations you had. So I think that's where a lot of us go wrong. We feel like we need to be doing something now.
Yeah.
Now, I wish I would have knew stock. That's the only game that I feel like I wish generationally we are losing because they know the stock game.
Yes.
They know the investment game when it comes down to where to put that money at, what stocks companies to spend. Because you got to think about it, when I came out in 2001, that's when Apple first had the iPad, the little circle one.
That's right.
Think about it, Apple probably was trading back then for some couple dollars.
Correct. That's so true.
Microsoft was just coming up.
Yeah.
So just think about if I just had somebody in my corner say, Rod, we just finna put $500,000 just in Apple and Microsoft. We're just gonna leave that over there. Don't even worry about that. Oh boy, where we'll be at today. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't know the stock game.
Right.
We didn't understand it, so we didn't even know to put our money in that. None of the guys did. It ain't just me, it's everybody. We all missing out on that income that we could have had that would have set us up generationally down the road. So that's the struggle.
So when did you start planning your exit strategy? When did it start coming to your mind that, okay, football is not going to last for long. Now I need to start thinking about some other things.
Probably after my second trade, once I went to Kansas City, you can just kind of see I was on the tail end of it. And, you know, the team that I was going to, even though I was playing, I wasn't in the position I was when I first started. So when I started towards the end, I was big in the real estate game. So at that point in time, I invested in real estate real heavy. I started with single family homes, investing, flipped a few homes, made a couple dollars. But to me, it was slow money. It was too slow. You know, me making $30,000 takes 6 months, 8 months to get. I'm like, man, this ain't fast enough. So I stopped. I went from, and I'm the guy that will jump off the ledge and go all in on something. I'm the one to take the risk.
Right.
So I went straight from building 2 or 3 homes to saying, hey, I want to build a whole subdivision. I need doors. I want to build, how do I build that neighborhood right there? This apartment complex. So I actually ended up partnering with Wachovia, who I was private banking with. So we, in their private sector, they went in as an investor with me in the real estate game, and we started doing real estate development down in Peachtree City. Before Peachtree City was what it is now. I was like the second big developer to buy up all the land in Peachtree City with Wachovia. And that was back in 04, 05.
So Wachovia partnered with you. Now that's interesting because typically banks like Wachovia don't even get in bed with builders, regular builders. Now I know you're different because you were high net worth individual working in their wealth management, you know, probably
management division. Yes,
but that was interesting that they did.
They did, because at the end of the day, they knew, they kind of was supported me in what was my aspirations and dreams. What did you want to accomplish? How can we help you get there? Financing, it was already there because my money was with them. So finance, I can get the financing, but they knew I needed the support when it come down to the knowledge and information. So they know they didn't want me to fail. So they kind of came in as a partner with me, put their team up. We went through the deal, all the due diligence, the paperwork, the numbers, ironed it out. You know, they put up a certain amount of money I put up. I was on the hook for this, they was on the hook for that. But I found out in banking after, you know, when the market crashed in '08, which we was probably in phase 2 and 3 of doing the building, because I was building a 260 single family home subdivision. Then I was building a condensed townhouse that was 180 units. So we was locked in. And at that point in time, we probably 13, 14 million into the project.
And this was right before the '08 crash.
So at this point in time, I'm thinking I'm off to the races. Gardner Enterprises finna take off. Like I'm a developer. I'm not just, I'm in the real estate game. Do you do home building? No, I'm a developer. I don't just build homes. I build subdivision. I'm building what you want, what you need.
Right.
So I was in that mindset, trying to be the big dog. How do I get to that? I always wanted to be, man, I know what I'm building. How do I build this subdivision over here? That was my mindset. So I didn't see it happening, and I wasn't doing nothing wrong. I felt like I was being smart with my money, strategic with the decisions I was making. But we didn't see it. We didn't see it coming. But
so what happened? What happened? I mean, can you disclose? I mean,
yes, I can. So I can disclose. I still got PTSD. So when it all hit the fan, the whole flow fell out in the real estate market. I used to meet with the same 3 guys every quarter. We go over the numbers, where we at, we're doing good, let's stay on track. To all of a sudden, after that market crash, we had that quarterly meeting. It was 4 new faces in there. I've never seen them before, but they didn't want to.
They switched out the people.
What? They switched. That was done. Real estate investing, and that we was done. They was in there to basically tell me, hey, we calling these loans. We can't, there's no restructure. My whole team on the sideline, how do we restructure this to make it make sense?
Correct.
They didn't want to hear none of that. All they wanted to say was, man, we can't support it. We out. We need to call these loans. And I'm like, call the loans? Like, who's finna, the interest we paying a loan is crazy. So you telling me now you ready to cash out? I don't have it. So at that point in time, I'm looking at my financial advisor, my business partner, like, boy, we need to start snatching money from everywhere we can. And at that point in time, they already was ahead of me. So they was freezing accounts. They was already ahead of schedule. They already knew they were trying to, it was a grab.
They were trying to protect, they were trying to get,
Because they know if they allow me to have the time to either try
move
to move the money or move the deal somewhere else, they know that they didn't want to be part of no more. So that was hard for me because that took me back, because that was a lot of my petty cash. Even though I still had my retirement, that was the money I was using to create the wealth I needed. So it set me back, but one thing about it, I'm one of them guys that I feel like, man, pressure creates new opportunity.
Yeah.
And I went through that season for about 2 years. That was rough because at that point
For
in time,
2 years.
that was my mindset. I wanted to be in real estate. I wanted to be an investor. This was all I wanted to do at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So that I had to pivot. Mm-hmm. So then that's when all of a sudden I went from that to technology to where all of a sudden me and you
That's how,
came into play and I met you. So I ended up going into technology. And I tell guys, man, it's never about how much you know, it's about who you know.
Yeah, true.
Because I knew nothing about technology.
That's right.
And I went to a major consulting firm that took me in, paid me to be a sales rep, which I didn't even know anything about computing to storage to any of that.
Yeah.
But because how well I was with me and the CEO when to play golf. So one thing I am strategic about is making sure I understand where the players play at.
Yes.
You know, where the big guys at. And that's on the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
So during them 2 years I was going through it, I learned golf. And I'm talking about I went all in to become the best player I possibly can be.
Mm-hmm.
So now when I had the opportunity, my buddy set me up with the meeting with the CEO. He asked them, hey, do Rod play golf? Mm-hmm. Usually they think brothers like us, NFL guys, we finna get out there ball hack. We just finna have a good time, drink.
Yeah.
No. I went out there ball striking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm driving the ball 330 yards. I'm pawing, birdieing. He was so amazed at the discipline from the golf game that he felt like, hey man, if you can do this in 2 years in a game that take guys 17 years to figure out, how will you transition into the corporate world with the discipline you got? So he gave me an opportunity, and that was great. I was there for 5 years.
Yeah.
I met you. We ended up doing a deal.
Oh, absolutely,
We ended up doing a deal together, which is a multi-million-dollar deal together.
Yeah, and actually the deal that you and I did together then really was the deal that propelled our business in government contracting, because when I came to you about that deal, I didn't have no financing. You know, it was a contract that I won. I think it was a several $1 million contract. I had no financing in place. I came to you and you brokered the deal with those guys.
Group,
Those guys gave me access to financing. I mean,
and they didn't know you from Adam and Eve. They didn't know anything about you.
But they knew you,
and they
trusted you. Mm-hmm. That's right. And I was so. It was so important for me for that deal to go off well, because I knew that you put your neck out on the line,
100%.
Right? And I'm telling you, if it wasn't for that deal, we probably wouldn't have made it in government contracting. Yeah,
that's crazy.
But
we just see how God works.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
When you stay diligent, you somebody of good character, somebody people can trust. Then they're willing to, exceed. They're willing to do something they wouldn't normally do.
Right.
They're willing to trust in you based off just your character and who you are as a person. That I'm gonna give you the opportunity, even though you're giving it to somebody else.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying. So it all worked itself out, and now we tenfold. And we here still getting it, and it's a blessing, man. And God has been good, and building my family and what we have online as well as our businesses. So it's a great journey.
Right. Yeah. So we want to talk about that, right? Mm-hmm. We're gonna take a quick break, right? And what I want to do is come back, part 2 of the conversation, and to get deep into what you're doing now, right?
100%.
Obviously the Bootstrappers kind of learn a little bit about you and how your journey, how you've come to this point. Mm-hmm. But definitely you got a lot of great things on the horizon. So 100%. Bootstrappers, hold on to your seat. The next episode is coming. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back to episode 2, part 2 of the conversation with my good friend, Mr. Rod Gardner.
Let's go.